this video, I want to give you a quick look at how I write down the timeline of progress as I'm going through an interview. When I first started, I used to use an A3 sheet of paper with the timeline drawn on it, and I used to just sketch this sort of stuff in, but I found that my handwriting's pretty bad, so apologies up front, and it's a bit too big, so I was running out of space. So what I bought is one of these Remarkable Paper Pro tablets. You could use any e-ink tablet, and that gives me kind of infinite space to work in. So let's have a quick look now. I'll show you the template I've created. It's nothing special, and then I'll walk you through how I capture the information and make sure that I'm getting the whole story when I'm running an interview. Okay, so here we are. This is Remarkable screen sharing. And up the top here, you can see I've got the interviewee, and you can also see that over there, I've got one black pen and one red pen, just so that I can capture relevant information. What do I want to capture here? Name, job title, company they work for, maybe the company size, and then how long have they been in the role, something along those lines. And really, this is just for B2B interviews. This tells me enough about the person and any core information that they've got. As I carry on down here, I've got what did they buy. So this is whatever they've bought, and this is in their own words. So this could be service. So what's on a statement of work, or it could be software. Seats, features, whatever they want to tell me, and cost. Things like that here. I'm capturing the core insights about what it is that they've purchased. So these are just up the top here, and I'll scroll back to them and add to this through the time. And then, as you see here, this is where I get the first thought. And then, literally, it's a terrible template. It goes to passive looking, come down here, active looking, and then we get down to the decision point. So when I'm first running an interview, I would start here. So this is the point here, and I want to know when. I want to know what, if I haven't captured it up front in the last piece. And I'll ask, how hard was the decision? And I'll ask, usually later on, what were they worried about? And what were they hoping for? And I'll capture that here. And I usually start there because it's an easy opener. They can talk quite knowledgeably about the features and the things that they've bought. And from there, I can go back and say, well, tell me about when did you first think you had a problem, or that when was it this idea came to you, that you came up and you needed some help to do this? At which point, then we scroll back up here, and I usually won't fill it in this piece here. I'll usually start jotting down ideas here, because what you find is people will start telling you something of interest, but it's not always the first thought, and then eventually we'll work this back, and I usually what I try and put in here is a thought as expressed. So it might be somebody who's looking for a new job in data, and they're trying to do their data management certification. The first time they ever think about this, that there are thoughts way before when they think, oh look, there's a certification that I might do, so should I do that? But actually, the first thought to really take this seriously is often, I've lost my job. Do I need to get certified in order to get a new job? And so that would then go in here. And I'll put in any relevant details down here as well. And then we can literally just move through the timeline. So, somebody tells me about that first thought. So, well, what happened then? When did you start sort of noticing courses, or when did you start noticing products and services? What was that search process? And you'll see things here. So passive looking starts usually with, I looked at some, let's get rid of that, sorry. Maybe I started reading emails. I might have heard from friends or colleagues. So things like that, where I'm suddenly hearing about stuff and I'm sort of aware of it, but I'm not necessarily building a list. And then as we go further down here, I want some sort of, well, that's not very good. Some sort of event here, something happens that moves them away from, okay, yeah, I could possibly solve this problem, into, right, I've got to do something. And then when we're in here, we start to see Google searches, we see GPT, we see RFPs or Is, whatever, RFX type documents. So this is where I'm actively building a list, and I want to know, in this case, who's on the list, why, I want to know how, and then if they get rejected, then, because sometimes people are off the list, why, what happens, what causes them to come off that list. And as this comes down here towards the decision itself, we're building up a story of how does this decision get made, how easy is it, is it an easy decision is always worth asking, or hard, because some of these are mechanical purchases, people are just going through the motions. Other times it's a real struggle, it's a real battle, and you want to get out the emotions and things like that. As you get to the decision, who got booted? So which of the vendors got eliminated and why? What was wrong with them? Because that tells you the trade-offs that people are going to make. It's like, well, that I could have gone with these people here, but it was too slow. I needed it more quickly. Or I could have gone with them, but they were too expensive. I had to just spend the budget I had. So this here gives you the trade-offs that people are making, which is really important. And then further down, obviously, once they've decided, then we've got this C piece. So this is consumption. So did it work? Would they recommend it? And what else did they buy afterwards? And so that's really the timeline of progress. I appreciate this is ugly. This is my notes. You can do this yourself with a big sheet of paper if you want, or get this sort of technology. But it's really important to have it, because as I scroll back up here, I can see there's a big gap in this section here. So maybe I'm missing some important part of the story. And so, I make sure I look at this. Have I got all the dominoes to fall across these stages? And am I confident that I could play the role of this person from end to end to explain their decision? Cheers.